Hello, everyone, and welcome to ForcedToPod. This is episode 26. My name is Saxon, but you can call me Sax. Joining me today, I have the man who knows no stranger, no pepper too spicy, the curious one, or mysterious maybe. Nick, if I remember correctly, we've made it to your favorite month of the year
Yes,
today. How you
that's
doing,
true.
man?
I'm very excited, and I keep forgetting, and then I keep remembering. So, I had to go to I had a sort of long day. I went to the office, didn't work from home.
It's a shame.
Well, it's fine because I drove my busted truck down there to pick up a toolbox that my mom, like a big, 49-inch tool chest with a wood worktop and like a bunch of drawers and stuff that my mom had purchased as a wedding gift, and I just had never picked it up. And then, I'm sidetracking real hard, but I stopped for gas on the way. So first of all, this truck leaks oil. I haven't figured out where it's leaking oil from, so I just have an old floor mat underneath it in my driveway, so it's not
Okay.
leaking oil onto the driveway. I stopped for gas. The person that had the truck before me, the fuel tank straps are not the correct ones, so it hangs all wonky, and you gotta be real careful when you're filling it up, or it clicks every time because the fuel like backs up in the filler neck. I was checking the tire pressures because one of my wheels is bad. I got new tires, but one of them still loses air because the wheel's all rusty. I was checking the tire pressures while I was at the gas station and noticed that after I hit a quarter tank, it starts leaking fuel out of a corner of the gas tank. So I was like, all right, well, I guess
Huh.
that's enough. So I had all this going on this morning. That is why I forgot that it was May. And then I got home, I got everything unloaded, and then I put the Indianapolis Motor Speedway flag out. And it was funny because I stopped at my dad's condo on the way back, which is right down the road from the office. They were here this past weekend. They went back to Florida. I was making sure everything was good. And he texted me right after I put my flag out and said, dang it, I should have told you to put the IMS yard flag out, the IndyCar yard flag. And I sent him a picture of the one that I put up. I said, well, that sucks.
There you go. That around here, it's also
Derbs.
whatever season, but yeah, it's Derby. So I was seeing a bunch of flags that were up and just everything Kentucky Derby around here. So it's this Sunday. So
Is it?
yeah,
Nice.
yep. So is it Sunday or Saturday? I don't know.
I don't.
I should know this, being living in Louisville, so I should know this. And last but certainly not least, the man who probably cares nothing about horse races or motor speedway.
Certainly doesn't like IndyCar.
I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it, Walker. How do you feel about horses running in a circle or cars with a lot of horsepower running in a circle?
Cars, I love cars. I've never really cared too much either way about car racing, but I actually love horses. I was a horse girl for years. I don't know if you all knew this about me.
Did not know
Actually,
this about you. It's the least surprising thing I've heard all day, but
I spent a ton of time in a barn growing up. I rode horses for years and spent a lot of time taking care of them when I was a kid. Probably from when I was like 5 till I was 14 or so,
Wow.
I think. So I've got a lot of time on horseback, actually.
huh.
My 8-year-old would love to be a horse girl, but we don't have enough money. But my in-laws live like right on the other side of a farm. These people have a big pasture with like cows and goats and a couple horses. So we went over there for Easter, and Reagan got to pet a horse that was at the fence and feed it like apples and stuff. And that
Nice.
was all she cared about the whole day. She didn't
That's
care about
cool.
her Easter basket, nothing. Just that she got to pet a horse.
Yeah.
No, man, I love
Sometimes.
horses. I'd
Yeah.
want a horse one day, but yeah, you're right. They're ludicrously expensive.
Well, they're
Yeah.
huge. They gotta have a lot of space for them. They need a lot of space to live in, and they need a lot of food to eat.
And don't even get me started with vet bills for the
Yeah,
horses.
when
Oh
they
my
need a lot of
Dude.
God.
medicine.
The
Yeah.
vet bills for
That's.
the horses are unreal
I'm sure they are.
when you
I.
really get into it, but
Yeah.
boy,
Like,
they're a lot of fun. I don't know,
is
you should
there a
send your kid to go work at a barn or something.
If we ever had time.
Uh,
Is there a actual, and this is a genuine question, what is the benefit of having horses on your farm if you're not doing something like a competitive nature
well, they're a
type?
hobby. I mean, like
So
they
it
okay,
is just a
they're
hobby type
for
thing.
most people, I'd say they're a hobby. They aren't actually a great way to traverse. Like if you had a ranch, they're like a great way to traverse a serious ranch. But then I mean, you're talking probably thousands of acres ranch, right? Like
Sure.
any more than any less than that, it ain't worth the trouble to like saddle the things versus just getting an ATV out. You
Yeah,
really gotta have a serious ranch and probably need to be actually roping cattle. And even then, your ATVs are not, a bad choice.
sure.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
wanted
I was
something
just
smaller
thinking.
just for working, you just get a mule.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have a large area of rough terrain, a horse is pretty good.
Hmm. I guess yeah, that would make sense from that instance. So, but anyways, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm back. I made it back. Heather and I went to Philly last week. The boys held it down. Got a little turkey talk in, so appreciate you guys doing that. Thanks for holding down the fort on that front. But if you're here, please remember like, subscribe, comment. Anything that sticks out to you, and you can join the conversation on our Discord, bit.ly/ForcedToPod Discord. Boys, how was turkey hunting? Nick, you were talking a little bit about it, but
Yeah,
what was your experience?
Zach and I went out early in the morning. So the DNR property that we were hunting, we could only be in an hour before sunrise. You could shoot half an hour before sunlight, and then we had to be done by 1 p.m. and out by 2 p.m.
Okay.
And we get there right about 6:30, which was we got into Muscatatuck probably right around 6, which was about an hour before. And then we parked and we were good to go by the time we parked. So we were walking out. I've never turkey hunted before. I had all the ideas and knew how to execute basically none of them. So we walk around, we find this one spot by a little pond. It's really not that far off of the road that we drove in, which is just a gravel driveway. And we sit there for a minute, and then I hear another car. I hear somebody get out of their car and the like horn honk, and I'm like, okay, well, we're obviously too close to where we parked. So we like start walking back in, and this dude walks up, and he's just dressed like a regular guy going hiking. He said he was going mushroom hunting, and I'm like, well, first of all, the flyer that I was given said you're not allowed to mushroom hunt till 2 p.m. That's why we have to be out. I told him that. He didn't seem to care. I mean, I wasn't being confrontational about it. I was like, hey, just so you know, this is what we were told.
People are shooting guns right now.
Yeah. And he was like, well, I'm not trying to mess up your hunt. He goes, I always hear him back that way. And he pointed, and he's like, there's some small woods and then some big woods and then another small woods. So it's like new growth, big old growth, big clearing. So we walked back. I was looking at the Onyx app. We found like a creek bed. It comes down this hill, flattens out, and then goes back up north. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's just hang out here. So we scouted a couple areas, went back to that spot, sat there for an hour and a half. Nothing. I heard woodpeckers, owls, cardinals. We saw a bunch of crows. I blew a crow call, owl call. I gave Zach a box call, and I mean, we were just, every 5-10 minutes or something, just shouting at turkeys and didn't hear a single one. And we moved to a different spot, sat there for another hour and a half or whatever. With the first spot, it was actually pretty calm and nice because it was a lot of big trees, so there was a lot of room to move around, and we were under a big kind of canopy, and it was just lightly raining. So we weren't really getting wet, but you could hear it. It was just very nice and calm. The second spot sucked. It was a different creek bed. We put up the decoys, but you couldn't really see them. I was tired of walking around trying to find a new spot. We still hadn't heard anything. Sat there for like an hour, and then it started like nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, let's just go walk a little further north and loop around back to the car, and we'll just make some calls and see if we hear anything. And then it started pouring about 2 minutes into that walk. And I said, let's just go back to the car. And we just went straight back to the car and left. We didn't hear a single turkey. So I dropped Zach off at his house. He's got a couple acres of woods in Martinsville, and there's turkeys in his yard all the time. So we walk around his property, his parents' property, and everything. Didn't see or hear anything but geese. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I drove home. I get about halfway home, and he texts me. He goes, you're not going to believe this. He said, I just heard a loud owl in the backyard. I was like, all right, well, they're safe. They're safe for this weekend because I'm not turning around. I was already soaked. I had already had ticks on me. It sucked. I mean, I had a good time. We did have a good time. It just would have been better if we would have shot a turkey.
I feel like any opportunity you get to just chill with, like, I feel like life is just set up in such a way where we as a collective we, like the whole world. Well, maybe it's just America, or maybe it's the lives we live. The getting the opportunity to like not have our phones on us, not be like inundated by all sorts of technology, and just being able to chill for a long period of time would be worth it, even if you don't get to do like whatever goal A is, that being like a secondary or a tertiary goal, like to do that would be a successful day. So
Yeah, it was definitely type 2 fun.
that's fair.
The drive there and back were type 1s because we just chatted, caught up, talked about random stuff. But getting poured on in the rain, ticks, and no turkeys was, I mean, intermittently had a good time. Like I had never heard an owl, like, the one that, oh man, what's the species that people always use for turkey calling?
Is it a barred owl, or is it a screech owl, or is
No,
it
it's not a screech. It's all right,
a
whatever.
horned owl?
Either way, I'd never really heard it like out in the wilderness before, so that was kind of cool. And I pointed it out. I was like, "Oh, that's an owl." Zach goes, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. Unless it's another guy out here making owl noises."
I mean, that's a distinct possibility, right?
You guys just walk in circles around each other. You're like, I'm gonna get him at some point, and you just end up in the spot that he started in, whatever.
Man, I saw a video the other day of a guy trying to hunt turkey with a decoy on his head, which
Reaping, isn't that what they call it?
I don't know. I call it trying to get shot. Is what I call it.
Well, yeah, I think you're better suited doing that on private land, but yeah, guys do it where like they basically put a gobbler decoy on the end of their gun, or like wear it on their head so it looks like a turkey.
Huh.
And they get low profile behind it, and then you just kind of crawl through a field, and a gobbler will come directly up to you because he thinks it's another turkey and just shoot him.
Huh.
Yeah, it's called reaping. It's
Interesting.
weird, but it's kind of cool. Maybe I should have done that.
The
Well, it wouldn't have
solitude
mattered.
is always nice.
I didn't hear any. I had no direction on where to go try and decoy them.
Do we know if Mushroom Guy was successful though? That's what I really need to know.
I don't know. I didn't
He
see
found
him again.
anything?
I hope not. I think he pointed me in the wrong direction on purpose.
It does kind of sound like that. That was actually what I was gonna say. I was like, man, that may be. I knew you guys didn't have too much success because you had dropped that on Discord already, but I'm a little concerned. He might have known that the turkeys and the mushroom was not a Venn diagram. It was just a circle, and he did not want you there because he wanted to be there. So unfortunate.
Yeah. When you're describing that spot with like near the road and with the lake, that should be a pretty good spot for turkeys. My understanding is they like water, and they also, like a lot of species of birds, like to have a place they can grab gravel to put
Oh yeah,
in their craw, right?
yeah, that's fair. We should have just stayed there.
Coulda,
That's
woulda.
fair.
Yep. Boys, I want to tell you, I messaged you, but I didn't give you the full story about it. So Heather and I, last week, the reason we weren't here, we went to the first, since Heather started working, the first orthodontic conference. They had it out in Philly. This meant I spent a lot of time just hanging out in the hotel room and then going to restaurants, which was good. However, we get to the airport on Thursday night, and the Louisville airport is not big, like not big at all. And so you're through TSA instantaneously, which was actually very, very beneficial at one point when I woke up super late and I was taking our friend Screeb, or Sam Manitoba, to the airport, and I had like 20 minutes to get him there, and it took him like 5 to get through the airport because it's so small. But anyways, we get through there, and then for some reason, everything just kind of halts. We get through. I put my backpack on and everything. I totally space boys that I had both a screwdriver and a pocket knife, like a box cutter, in my backpack. And I was trying to remember. I'm like, why do I have this in there? From the episode before, when I talked about we went up, we did the sale with the. I had taken it up there because I was thinking, I'm going to, we were doing some work, going to be taking things off. Like, I knew we were prepping for some painting and stuff, so I was going to be taking off some of the, some of the face plates around, like on some of the walls and things, and then cutting boxes and like breaking things down and things. So I had those in my backpack, totally spaced. So I get through TSA, and they walk over and they grab my backpack. and they hold hold it up in front, and I look at Heather, and I'm just like, before they even said it, like it came off the thing. Dude points at it, and before he even pointed, I look at Heather. I was like, I have a knife. The words that I never say. I don't carry a knife. I don't ever. I was like, there's a knife in my backpack. This dude next to me was just like, you're about to get frisked. Like a random dude, he heard it, and I don't know, dude. So they come over there and they lay the backpack on the thing, and I'm just like, I'm so besides myself. But like it was oddly calm because I wasn't planning on doing anything, obviously. It's just like I just left it in there. So they walk over and they lay my backpack down. Before they even open it, they're like, do you have anything in here? I said, yep, I have a screwdriver and a knife. I said, I was doing some work at my grandpa's house. I usually don't use this backpack for that kind of thing. I totally spaced it. And they're like, can you show me where it is? So I go to like point at the backpack, and they're like, please don't touch it. Okay, we're cool. So like I point at, thankfully it was the front pocket. They opened it up, they get it out, and they're like, I was actually impressed, and it made me feel a little better. They had a thing where they pulled the drawer out of this desk that they were on, and they had taped off markings, like measurement markings for how long different tools can be to go with them. So they were laying the screwdriver, because both of them are from a company out of Canada, and this will segue us into a topic we're about to talk about. I did not want to have to buy these again because I did not want to have to pay an increased rate for these tools, but I really, really, really like them. So they looked and they laid it down, and the first lady was like, well, you obviously can't have the knife. I'm like, that's fine. Like, whatever we got to do. But they were like, we might be able to do the screwdriver. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I had already checked my bags and stuff. So they're like, do you want to check the backpack? No, I don't want to do that if I can take it. So thankfully they let me ship it. They let me ship the knife back. And then another guy came over and he kind of judged it, and he was fine with the screwdriver going through. But have you guys ever, or have you guys ever done anything like that?
I carry a lot of knives with me all of the time. I usually, well, how many do I think I have 2 in my backpack right now, and then 1 in my belt, and then I don't even know how
You're
many
like
are
a
in my
John
truck.
Wick villain. Why
I
do you
mean,
have so many
how many
knives?
knives are in my truck right now? Wait, okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I got a couple in my car, but I don't
I
carry
think
them
there's at
on me.
least 6. But no, usually it's just the Leatherman. I always remember to take the Leatherman out of the backpack. And then I always remember to take the folding knife out of my pocket. But what gets me is I'm always just paranoid. Like, what if I accidentally stuck my shotgun in my backpack, like before I left? Like, what if it's half
Sticking
again
out
as
the
long as
back.
the backpack, just poking out. Ah,
Yeah.
sorry, gee, I just forgot this. Golly gee.
Yeah.
So paranoid about that.
Yeah, we don't really fly that much, so I just didn't think about it, and then I nailed everything else. I didn't forget a single thing. Usually you do. You forget like whatever. It's like I brought my toothpaste but forgot the toothbrush. Whatever. Had everything else.
Yeah.
Just brought a couple extra things. What about you, Nick? You ever try to smuggle anything through the airport?
No, the last time we flew, I did a double check before we left, and I had a lockpick set and a pocket knife in my backpack. And like, they probably don't want these
Yeah.
going through, so I just left them. But yeah, usually I'm grabbing I don't carry a knife on me a lot. Like, I have them available. I have a multi-tool in my hunting backpack. I have one in my tackle box. I have one in my gun cabinet. I have a pocket knife that I take with me sometimes. It's like I leave it where I leave my keys and wallet. But normally if I'm packing to go on a trip, like I'm grabbing a bag out of the closet that I haven't used in forever that doesn't have anything in it.
That's fair.
So, yeah, I don't think there's always that like, did I pack my pistol that's locked away under my bed? But usually I don't. So
Just like a classic thing. You're just running around and like you're trying to be helpful. You're like, do you need this? It's like, why would I need that? Not. It's like I guess I thought I needed it, so I just left it in there. So it was more I was concerned that I might have actually had another tool of some sort in there and I just forgot. So it's like they thought I was trying to get away with something, because I also had, because I've been doing a lot of like Destiny / like video game like content creation. I've been making a lot of videos, YouTube shorts, stuff like that, and like YouTube videos, long form stuff, putting them up on like a gaming channel. And so I knew I was gonna have a lot of downtime. So I had like hard drives and dongles for all that. And like, so that's why I didn't want to leave. Like I had a bunch of footage, and so I did not want to put that underneath because I didn't want to lose my backpack just in case. And then like I had my computer and all that stuff in there. So I was like, you guys can, even if they had to just throw the stuff away, like the screwdriver and the knife away, or whatever they do with that stuff when they confiscate it, I was like, no, I do not want to be separated from this. So thankfully, we got through unscathed, mostly. But it was more, it wasn't even like an embarrassment thing. The only thing that was a little frustrating, and just, it was like every single time we were packing or talking about packing, coming back home, Heather's asking me, you don't have anything in your bag, right? You have any? I was like, I did it one time, and now I'm never going to live it down. Like,
No, forever. Yeah.
Forever it's going to be, you don't have a knife in your bag. And I'm like, I don't know if I have a knife in my bag right now, honestly, because I did not. Up until the moment I set that down there, and we got to the other end, and they hesitated just half a second too long on my bag. I did not know I had a knife in there until I did, so.
Well, I can tell you what they do with them. They sell them, because I personally have bought a number of them back from the TSA. You can get some good. You would not believe what people bring to the airport. They're always bringing their knives to the airport, and then I buy them.
Yeah, so
Govdeals.com.
I love govdeals.com.
Is that what-
you buy like
is that
the
an
drug
actual
dealer
thing?
truck or whatever. It's the best.
Is that where they sell all this stuff?
No, there was actually like a brick and mortar store in Austin that I went to, and there's like literally just bins of knives.
Interesting.
And you can go pick one out, and it's like $5 for this knife that was, 200 new or whatever.
Huh. There's a
There's a lot
PS5
of
system.
crap. Like there's a lot of really dollar store special knives, but every once in a while you can find a good one.
On Gov Deals, there's a PS5 system with 2 controllers from Columbus, Georgia. It's on auction at $300 right now. If you guys are interested.
I'm seeing lots of knives. 37, 52 knives, 34 knives, all shapes and sizes.
They sell the like lots of knives. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even.
Agricultural and forestry equipment. Don't mind if I do.
I had no clue this was a thing. I didn't even know this website existed.
I forgot it existed. I just Googled TSA auctions.
Huh. Interesting. Well, they have ATVs on here. So if anyone's interested, govdeals.com. I feel like it'd be fairly easy to like make a ripoff of this website and just like adjust the URL just a little bit and to reroute people somehow. I'm not saying we should. I'm not even saying it would be productive in any capacity.
Govdeal.com or GovDeals with something.
Unless they've bought every adjacent URL possible.
Here's a lot of Nerf guns.
Huh.
Yeah. There's a lot
Interesting.
of gun guns. A lot of 40 handguns.
This falls directly into a specific interest I've had for a long time, which is like the weird rules type things, like, or weird laws, weird rules. Like I'm always fascinated. I love to hear them. I'm not a big fun fact guy. Like if someone's like, "Hey, fun fact for," like I usually I don't care. I don't care at all. But if you're like, "Hey, fun fact, you know why that law exists?" I'm here for it. Like every time. This is kind of along the same lines, like a TSA sale type thing. I would love to hear. I would buy something specifically from a store like that or from GovDeals as long as I get like a small synopsis of how this came into the government's possession.
Nice.
Almost
was
like
it a drug dealer? Did we confiscate it during a traffic stop? Was this what's it called when the cops steal your
yes, civil asset forfeiture or whatever.
Yeah. Was it that? Because then tell me whose it was, so I can give it back to him.
There's like a lot of honestly, or if like it came with a little card, and then it's like playing cards. It's like, oh, this one's holographic. It's just got like the synopsis card, but it's got like it's a foil card. But anyways, it kind of falls in a similar vein as there's one of the tech YouTubers who lived out in California, and his house burnt down like with the wildfires, and so he's kind of like uprooting from California, probably going to Texas. I don't know where he's going, but he was getting rid of his basically warehouse that he did a lot of his stuff. He stored a lot of his gear in, and so he opened it up and said, "Hey, the first 50 people who are in this area that respond to this, like send me a DM, we're going to set up a time. And he basically just went to Lowe's, got 50 of the exact same box, and then he just took stuff like hardware, like gaming, like computer hardware, and just stuffed all the boxes with an assortment of things and said, like, you're just going to come here when you get here and you're going to pick one at random and then just choose until you're gone. So you could get like a box full of CPUs. You get a box like with all the components to make a new PC, stuff like that.
Just a box full of mice.
Yeah, possibly. So you just do that. But I feel like you could do something like that with govdeals.com. Just like, oh, I literally got an ATV and a PS5. And it's just buy them for whatever. So, Lord. All right, boys. Well, let's we're gonna do a little flashback to an podcast number 17. We discussed it. I had it up. I should have kept it up. Essentially, what we were doing that day is we were talking about the pricing of video games, and we were talking about. I think we had just come off the Game Awards, if I remember correctly, and we were talking about a lot of the new releases that were happening, and then we were talking about the concept of like GTA 5's coming out this year. Oh, I'm sorry, GTA 6 coming out this year. Like Rockstar has to increase the price, right? Like, and we were kind of talking about going up from the $70. Where would that go? Where do we find that line? Things of that sort. So that episode performed pretty well for us. We had a lot of people who were interested in that topic, so we're going to touch back on that today. However, we are going to talk a little bit about the state of the world, the state of America right now with the tariffs and what that means for playing. It's not going to get hyper political, but if you're not here for it, you might just skip away or whatever. Sorry. But essentially, the reason I'm bringing this up today is it was announced yesterday that Microsoft in their whole gaming division was actually up year over year for revenue. I think they went up, they were up like 8% year over year, which, to be fair, I mean, I feel like that should probably be higher after getting Activision Blizzard and, you know, all that stuff came through. They've released Call of Duty, they've released all these games under the umbrella. However, it is still positive. It's trending in that direction. And then they turn around the next morning after that earnings call, and they announce that they are upping the price of essentially everything they sell, which is kind of insane and, to my knowledge, unprecedented, because typically, if you're not familiar, the life cycle of all these consoles is they start at the highest price they're ever going to be for the base models, and then they just walk down over their life. They are going to hit a floor. They're not going to go below that, but they're going to walk down from that. Well, this is not the case. This is not how this generation has gone. And so just some examples for you. So Xbox, they have two SKUs. They have a Series S. They have multiple SKUs, but they have two models. A Series S, which is kind of a less powerful model, more entry level, and then a Series X, which is the more powerful, most powerful version they have. The Series S, 512 gigabyte. So this is the lowest power version that they sell off the shelf. Used to be $299, which is a pretty good value for what it is. Now it's going up $80 to $379. The exact same device. The bottom. Boys, these prices get crazy here in a second.
Don't
Series
tell me
S,
they're going to raise controller prices. That's going to be bad for me. Who collects all the controllers.
Series S, 1 terabyte. So double the hard drive space. For anyone who's not familiar, was $349. So it was $50 more. It's keeping that $50 increase up to $429.99. The
Gross.
Series X digital. So neither of those have the ability to play a physical game, which for the vast majority of gamers in year of their Lord 2025, that does not matter. But for some people, it does. The Series X digital version. So this does not have a disk drive in it. Up from $449, a full $100 to $549.99. The Series X with the disk drive up from $499 to $599. So this is not a pro refresh, mind you.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, PlayStation had that. And then the top tier Xbox that they sell, which is the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition,
Looks
is
cool.
up from 5. And it looks great. It looks fantastic. $599 was the original. It's up to $729 now. Boys, this is insane.
$729. That, I mean, like, that's it's absurd.
Yeah.
Just build a gaming PC. Just build a PC.
You're talking about build a gaming PC for the if you're thinking Series X, like at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because for the performance of the Series X, you're pushing it at that $549 range, but the $599, you're sort of getting there with some of the things. Like, especially if you have any remnants of like some components, right? Like the main thing that's going to get you is GPU, CPU. But you could probably get away with an older motherboard. You could find some things used, things of that sort. But that $729 is, boys. And so my theory on this, and I know that Xbox and Phil Spencer, they keep coming out and just saying like, hey, we're doubling down. We're still good. Like, we still want to be in the console game. We still want to be in the console space. I think they don't.
Yeah.
I think they don't want to be. I think they want to be, I think essentially they want to be Steam. They want to have an option for people. Like if someone said, hey, I want to play video games and I like this Game Pass thing, but I don't own any hardware. I really think that they would like to move in a direction where they have something that works in coordination with the faster networks that we are, accustomed to at this point. More and more houses are getting fiber connections, things of this sort. They just rolled out to LG TVs the Xbox app where because it used to just be on Samsung TVs. Now the LG TVs have a full Xbox app where you can just hook up a Bluetooth controller. I actually have an LG OLED out in my basement. I probably will give that a shot and give you guys like some feedback on how that runs.
I've played it on my phone before.
Yeah.
And you can take a Xbox controller and with Bluetooth you can connect it to your phone. And if you have the Xbox app, play your Game Pass stuff on there. Now, granted, it's not everything, and you are streaming, and if you have bad network connectivity, it's going to suck. But it works. I mean, when you're set up for success, it works well.
Well, we pay for a gig up, gig down internet, and I'm hardwired in on my TV. So I feel like I kind of have best case scenario there.
Oh yeah.
And so I may do that. I guarantee you I will do that because I'm very intrigued. I hadn't had a reason to. So one of the things we recently had talked about in the Force to Wipe Discord is maybe going back at some point, like when we had a lull, and doing some of the Destiny 1 raids. But I haven't leveled up my PlayStation character because at that point we didn't have crossplay. So all of my stuff is on Xbox. But I sold my Xbox a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right.
So I don't own an Xbox at this point. I have this profile that has a bunch of games on it, but all we have console-wise is a PlayStation, and that's just so Heather can play, what she wants to. So before we get in there, what do you guys think about that? Does this matter at all to you, or what does this indicate, like in your minds? That
I like Xbox. I don't really care about the console war. I don't care if you prefer Sony. That's cool. That's good. They have a lot of good games and they make some good stuff. But I do like Xbox. I have a Series X, $729. Granted, I have a 1 terabyte, the regular one. It's not the Galaxy version.
Do you have the disk drive in it?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so.
So it would be $599 new now is what that one would go for.
I got it on sale, brand new for $350.
Wow.
Like last year.
That's cheaper now than the lowest SKU they have.
And that was the Diablo 4. It came with Diablo 4. Yeah, so it's wild. Granted, I also have a gaming PC, so again, it's mid at this point with the specs for like some of the newer stuff that's coming out, but it still works really well. And I could play most stuff at like high settings, so it's this isn't a problem for me in this current generation, but I don't know that I necessarily agree.
Yeah, no, that's nuts. I'm on the Sony side of things. My brand new like PS5 Pro with the hard drive was $500 when I got it like 2 years ago.
Okay, so hold on. Sorry, because PS5 Pro is an actual thing that's out now.
Yeah, it was like
Do you have
whatever the highest one is? I don't know when was the
Well, two years ago, with just the normal PS5 was out. In the last year, they've released, like less than 12 months ago, they've released PS5
Okay,
Pro.
so it wouldn't have been the Pro then. It just
Okay,
been like
because
the PlayStation 5 with the disc drive or
because
whatever.
the reason I want to clarify that is that was actually going to be my point. I saw some gaming correspondents that went out today and bought a PS5 Pro because they wanted to have it for GTA 6, but Sony has not increased any prices. And I'm literally this close. Because I'm like, I don't necessarily want to jump up, but I have a PS5. I know I'm going to be able to sell it. If they increase the price of these,
for what you paid for it.
Yeah, and I got it brand new. I got it for $4.99 in 2020. Like, we've got more than enough time out of it, but like, we do play it. Like, we play the PS5. It's on our screen. If I could get that for what it is, and that thing already, the PS5 Pro, I think right now is $600. So let's find out.
I just looked. I think it was $699 actually.
Yeah, $699. Okay,
That's comparable.
But hear me out. Or they have the 30th anniversary limited edition bundle listed for only $9.99. Oh no, it's currently unavailable.
Yeah, I tried to get in. I didn't even want it, but I had told Heather at the time. I said, "Hey, I want you to know that I am applying for this lottery."
Yeah.
For the 30th anniversary edition. If I get it, I will be getting it, and I will be holding it as a collector's item. And to her credit, she was absolutely cool with that. She was like, "That is really cool." Like,
yeah.
I was like, "We don't need it." Like I said, I promise you, if I get one of these, because they were super, super low, like the amount of them that they made was super low. She was like, "As long as we put it away," she's like, not necessarily as an investment, but more of just like let's see how high this could actually go. Because some of the PS4 20th anniversary, which is insane that the generations were that long, but they did the same thing for the 20th anniversary on the PS4, and they were going for crazy. You could find them on eBay. So let's talk real quick. We'll get to really breaking Nick's heart. I actually don't know what the original prices were, and they don't have them on here.
Golly gee, I wonder why.
Yeah.
With the controllers? To be honest, these aren't as egregious. However, they shouldn't be, with that. So the Xbox, I'm going to rattle off a bunch of things here. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know the difference either. So Xbox wireless controller core, in parentheses, is $64.99 now. I think that's normal. It might be like $5 higher. It was like right around $60 for like the regular colors.
Well, so this has now Xbox wireless controller color, in parentheses, $69.99.
Okay, so yeah, maybe
wireless controller special edition is $79.99. And again, I don't know what these are, so I'm sorry. Limited edition, so not special edition, limited edition is $89.99, up from $79.99. So I do know that is a $10. They put that on here. The Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 Core is $149.99, up $10 from $139. The full Elite wireless controller is up $20 to $200 from $179. Stereo headset is at $64.99 now, and then the Xbox wireless headset is up $10 to $119.99. So it really seems like it's the nature of just all those components in there and how they're intermingling and stuff. And so I'm fine. I'm a believer that like a lot of things in the gaming space are way cheaper than they probably should be, but I understand that they're also playing the software game. Like they kind of like say, "Hey, look over here, like we got all this cheap hardware, get you in," and then like, okay, you're not gonna buy a console and not buy games for it. Typically, now on Xbox you might, because you're gonna do Game Pass and do that. The last piece with this whole thing that is interesting, and yeah, we're about to get to it, is Xbox has announced that all their first-party games are now going up. And this is what we talked about in episode 17. So we didn't know anything, of course, like this was months ago at this point. We didn't know anything about tariffs. We didn't know anything about anything about how the economy was going to roll out this next, in 2025. We may have even done this would have been right at the beginning of 2025 when we did the last episode that we talked about this. But they're bumping up their base price. So if you don't use Game Pass, they're bumping it up from $69.99 to $79.99 Now it's going to be $80 for their first party games. So think Doom Eternal, think next Fallout, next Skyrim, whatever. All of these first party games, the next Call of Duty is for sure going to be. And that's not even pulling in the fact that they have all the different SKUs, right? Like they'll have that is the base game, not the ultimate edition, and then the ultimate perfect edition or what, they stack on top of that and stuff like that. So my feeling back then was it's fine to games, the inflationary aspect of how many people it takes to make games nowadays and what that means for the industry and for the viability of these studios to have people working there full time and things of that sort. I think it's fine to pay more for the games. I just think it's a damn shame that we are in a situation where there are companies that are truly affected by these policy changes. And then under the guise of these policy changes, there are going to be companies that are not affected by it, but we don't know that. And so this is a negative situation of the tide raising all ships, raising all prices. And then so this dude, he throws tariffs on one day, the next day he takes them off. Well, these companies, they've already announced this. They've already done the negative, they've already taken the negative hit here, right? They're not going back from this. It's I don't anticipate a world in any capacity where they walk back these prices, especially when they're already losing the console war. It's hey, we need this. So if someone really wants to buy an Xbox, and now we have games that are, could possibly bring people into the ecosystem, it's if we're going to sell them, let's actually sell them at a profit. And that's what it looks like is happening here. So do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I mean, for what it's worth, from an inflation perspective, when I was buying games back in high school in 2012 for $60, I just did the little calculator or whatever. That's 85 right now. So we're on track, right? Shit gets more expensive over time. That's the way our financial system works. Fine, whatever. I mean, well, okay, not everything gets more expensive. TVs have gotten relatively less expensive over time.
Yeah, that's true.
Not even
maybe
exponentially less expensive.
Digital products and technical services should follow along with it.
Digital storage.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd almost like to decouple the games take a lot more effort to make now from the cost thing. I mean, they don't have to. Good games don't have to. And I think that there is a ton of emphasis on these huge studio bloat, whatever. That's not necessarily a throw more money at the project, it do better. I think that's the instinct, or at least has been the demonstrated instinct for Microsoft Game Studio.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so okay, fine. I have very little sympathy, I guess is what I'm saying, for we spent so much more money, we need to charge so much more. Well, I can't just go to the bank and say, well, I wanted to spend so much more money this month on antique trucks, so you should you cut me a break, increase my paycheck.
That's fair.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not necessarily a quality thing, but I do feel like some of the stuff with Xbox, admittedly, it's okay, we purchased these companies, and who knows, right? These conversations that are being had leading up to the acquisition coming in of this, it's hey, what retention plans we have in place, how long, the inner workings of all the deals, right? And say how long is it going to be before you do eliminations of positions and redundancies and things like that. We saw that with Bungie being purchased by Sony, right? And it's well, do we need 2 accounting teams? Probably not. If you're efficient in Sony in and of itself, and you just bring 1 game studio in, you know what I mean? You probably have enough capacity amongst that team. And so those were the big, when you're hearing about those game layoffs and stuff like this, and then you're talking about game studio closures and things of that sort. But what you just said is right. We paid $60 when we were in high school, and now it's bumped to $80, which is getting closer, right? It's not all the way to the 85 mark that you just said, but that's now, right? That's just a vertical jump now, where it's been the $70, and then that's kind of pushed us into this situation where we're sustaining these games or these game companies buy all these microtransactions, things of that sort. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the last thing I'd say on it for me, I mean, like at the end of the day, I don't mind paying $80 for a game if it's good. You
yeah,
know, I've
yep,
got there have been some games that I've bought that I've gotten crazy value worth out of, hundreds and hundreds of hours. My cost, I mean, of all the forms of entertainment that I've partaken of, video games are probably one of the best cost per hour of entertainment.
oh, for sure.
So that's something definitely to keep in mind. Like, okay, well, movies these days are fucking nuts, right? $20 for 2 hours of entertainment. Okay, fine. $80 for dozens, hundreds, if
Yeah,
you're, playing. And then if you go, find the game that you love, $80 for 3,000 hours of entertainment is, fucking pennies on the dollar right there.
yeah.
When, I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, it gets weird in this weird situation though too when you start talking about it's the conversation that always comes around. It's like the quality you start talking equating quality to length of the game as well.
Yep.
Whereas like we all know like that's not necessarily how that works, right? Like you could play a game that sticks with you like Heather and I played through Outer Wilds last year, like end of last year, and it's like that's a 10-hour game that will forever stick with me, right? Like the story behind it and like what we were doing and exploring, but like there's not really that much more beyond 10 hours that you can milk out of that game. However, we only paid like $20 for it. You know what I mean? Like it's
like Portal
still there.
2.
Yeah. No, I
Portal
mean,
and Portal 2 were like that. One of them was like basically free, wasn't it? I can't remember.
Probably
It's
with Valve, but
yeah.
well, no, I mean that's a very fair point, but those shorter games are often priced less. I mean,
Yeah.
I would really, I mean, for the sake of comparison, we're talking these AAA games, which are often meant to have replayability. You got your Call of Duties, you got your whatever, your Battlefields that are specifically designed with continued, game retention for your ye olde microtransactions in mind, right? Which is a whole other topic.
yeah.
Or your Fallouts and your Red Deads and whatnot, and your Grand Theft Autos, which are gigantic open world extravaganzas, which again, theoretically are, you know, 60 to 80 to 100, depending on how anal retentive you are about probing all of the various and sundry crevices. I don't know. Those games, you're still getting, based on the like reported time, we're still somewhere, and what the cost you've just quoted to me accurately or not of Outer Wilds, $20 for 10-hour game,
Sure.
okay, the $2 per hour, $80 for 40 hours of entertainment if you really, speed rush the shit out of Fallout, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Still around that $2 an hour. I mean, like you're talking for these games between $1 and $5 an hour if you're playing them through. This is not, obviously accounting for the games you buy and then never play, which is not something any of us ever do. Uh,
Yeah, I
I
get
didn't
called
even know
out.
you were
and
allowed
that
to do
and
that.
that's on us. That's on the gamer. That's not. I mean, and say you play a game and you fucking hate it, and you play it for 2 hours, right? And you cross that threshold of not being able to return it on Steam or whatever. $40 per hour of entertainment is not good, but
Well,
there's a lot of things we spend $40
let
per
me
hour
use
of
that as
entertainment on.
a let me use that as a perfect segue to Nick. I want to get your opinion here because one thing that's kind of like the light in this grand thing is that Xbox, the one thing they did not raise prices on. Now, they already have in the last calendar year, like the last 12 months, not this calendar year. They did not raise prices on Game Pass, which, just a reminder for anyone who doesn't know, Game Pass is kind of like their Netflix for games. So not every single game that's on Xbox is on Game Pass, but pretty much. Like if you're putting a game out on Xbox, you're dedicating the resources, the time to move it over there. It makes a lot of sense for that ecosystem to put it there. And so we've seen there's a lot of great games. And so Nick, do you keep a Game Pass subscription?
I did restart it recently
Okay.
because what was the reason? Crash Bandicoot. I think the Insane Trilogy is. I'm on the Xbox app right now. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy included with Battle Pass, Game Pass, Fortnite Battle Pass. Because Riley and I were playing a Split Fiction, and
Okay.
then she wanted to play Split Fiction one night, and I had something to do, and she was like, "Well, can I play Crash?" And I said, "Yeah, hang on, I gotta turn Game Pass back on. So I just renewed it, and then, we still have it. But it works like if I go back and play Frontiers of Pandora or something that requires connectivity, I have to have Game Pass on or Xbox Live or whatever to play that game. So it's whatever. But it is cool because I can just, hop on there and look. They have the EA games if you want to play Peggle, which is a goated time wasting game. Peggle Knights, Peggle, just random nonsense. You can play Call of Duty, like recently added Game Pass, Far Cry 4, and the new stuff like Clair Obscur. There's Lego Star Wars, just all kinds of nonsense, right? So you can just kind of, it is like you said, the Netflix of gaming. You just kind of scroll through and be like, oh yeah, I remember that game. And half of them you don't even have to install. You can just stream them. You can just play them through cloud gaming.
How many dollars per hour do you think you're paying for the Game Pass entertainment?
When I like right now when I'm not really using it, I'm getting hosed bad because I don't recently have time to play a lot. I think when I restarted it, I bought like a discounted 3-month thing from CD Keys or whatever, and just said, "Here, use this." So I think when that runs out, I will not be paying for it again, and then I'll just have to restart it. I don't know. I'm fortunate enough to be at the point where like I don't even know if it's still active and coming out of my bank account. I just know that sometimes when I turn on my Xbox, I get to play the games.
I just despise subscriptions as a service, as a model. I mean, it's just predatory.
Yeah. Yes, but like, I don't know. I'm an idiot, so.
I mean, we've talked about this on a past episode, right? Like how we try to best manage our subscriptions and things.
Well, yeah, that's why I run a Plex server, so I don't have to pay for all these movies and TV shows and comedy specials.
It's kind of interesting.
Although you've never committed crimes, right, Nick?
No, it's only a crime if you share it, I think, is how it works out.
Not done much research because it doesn't apply to him, but that's what he heard.
If I had files that I downloaded from a peer-to-peer file sharing site, that would apply to me. But it's whatever. I have a VPN or something.
I'm actually very glad you said that you didn't know, because I think the same CD Keys deal that you did. Mm-hmm. I did as well. I've not been charged, but this month was my charge, so I may actually keep it because I think Doom the Dark Ages comes out this month, and I will be playing that, but I'm actually going to turn it off right now. Turn Game Pass off, so.
Yeah, I just know as soon as I turn it off, somebody's going to go, I want to play Crash Bandicoot.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well. And you know what? In the amount that I spent to restart Game Pass on that CD key, I could have just bought the Insane Trilogy.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
Which I refused to do because I bought it on my PS4 several years ago. Mm. But the PS4 is packed up in the basement.
Yeah.
See, that's something I'm very willing to do, actually. I'm willing to double buy a game. If like it's my favorite game, to have access to it in multiple places.
Oh, I've done it
on willing to do
PC
that.
and Xbox before. I bought Circuit Superstars on both. I bought it on Steam and on Xbox because it's very fun.
I think I have Dead Space 3 on like every platform because I love that game so much.
Yeah, I was going to ask, does it have to have cross saves and stuff? But obviously you just answered, Dead Space does not.
It absolutely does not. I just have 3 copies of Dead Space 3.
It's funny.
You just turn any one of them on and you're like, oh, yeah, that's where I was. All right, let's go.
I just loved Dead Space 3. So that's a me thing, not an anybody else thing. The crossplay is nice, and I'd be even more willing to do it in that case, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's definitely something to, keep an eye on. I feel like there's a good portion of our audience that's interested in this. So like if you're listening, we appreciate you doing that. And so leave a comment. Like, does this mean anything to you? Are you an Xbox gamer in any capacity? Do you have a console through Xbox, or do you just use Game Pass on a PC maybe? Things of that sort. Would be interested to see that. And I mean, to be honest, I'm just intrigued to hear, we had Nintendo do their announcement for their console. That was a whole mess. They didn't end up raising the price of the console, but they also didn't really commit to, I mean, they did raise the price of their accessories, which was interesting, but they're very accessory driven with the Joy-Con, things of that sort.
Yeah.
And I think they had kind of, not even tariff related, but they had already kind of baked in a bit of a price increase into it because they didn't upgrade the screen and stuff of that sort. It is bigger, but it's not like a higher resolution. It's not no LED screen, things of that sort. So it'll be interesting how it all shakes out. I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. I'm intrigued to see what PlayStation's response is. Nvidia has been a hot mess. This 50 series drop has just not, it's basically just been a paper release for so many of these GPUs. They released multiple SKUs of the 5060s, and then no one could ever find them. So they only sent out like the highest tier 5060s out for review. Didn't send any of the lesser ones, and then they just kind of like bombard the market in all marketing and reviews with whatever that highest tier is, and then people are only claiming that they can find the lowest tier on the shelves and stuff like that. There's a lot of shady stuff that's going out right now, and I don't know. It's a great time to be a gamer from the aspect of there's some really, really incredible games that are coming out, some really innovative games. It's a terrible time to try to get into it. So I'm happy that we're kind of already on the other side of it, and so if we ever get time to play more, to do that.
I haven't opened a video game in 3 months.
Yeah, that's very believable. And you
Played
got a busy couple months here, so.
a couple weeks ago. I played the Power Rangers Rita's Rewind or whatever. It went on sale. It was on my wish list, and I bought it. It's like that old school arcade style, side scrolling.
Nice.
It's fine. It's okay. It's pretty repetitive, which I knew going into it, reading the reviews. But yeah, you get to pick your Power Ranger, you get to beat up putties and drive the swords. At this point, I'm just trying to get through. I think it's like you finish all the stages, and then you can unlock the Green Ranger and play with him. So we'll see if that's any better. But yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. It's been a grown.
That's what I'm trying to do in Dead Space 3. You finish the game in New Game Plus mode, you get a little a foam finger gun that kills everything in one shot. It's
Interesting.
awesome. And you go bang, and then and then the monsters just jib.
You probably get it a little faster if you just focus in on one platform.
No, I gotta do it on all three. All three. Gotta win. Because I had it on my PS3 way back when in high school.
Dang.
Which I do still have, actually.
Do you really?
But that one's bundled up.
Interesting. Yeah, you get 3 screens, like three different monitors up at the same time. They're all at the same place. You push the button simultaneously on all 3 of them to unlock it, and just like all is right in the world. The heavens will open up, sun's shining. It'd be the perfect situation. So. Well, boys, I was very happy to get back with you guys this week. Once again, thank you for holding down the fort last week. If you're still here, thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you. Getting back in the flow of it. We're in a season of life right now where our schedule's kind of crazy. So whatever's going to happen, Nick's out there coaching softball. I'm playing volleyball twice a week. Walker's doing unnamed things in crazy manners and just he's all over the place. So we appreciate you being flexible with us as we're being. But until next time, be blessed.